Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are, and welcome to today's Techstrong Learning Experience brought to you by Chaos Search. My name is Cody, and I'm the host of Techstrong Learning, and we have an exciting program ahead. First, before we begin, I do have a couple of housekeeping notes. Today's session is being recorded, so if you miss any of our discussion, perhaps you'd like to rewatch or share with a friend. The on-demand recording will be made available shortly after we conclude our live session today. If you look to the right side of your screen, you'll see there are a couple options to engage with our panel today. The first of which is the chat tab. So I'd like you to start warming that up for us right now by letting us know from where you are joining us. To the right of that chat tab, you'll see there's a section that says Q&A. Any questions that you might have, I request you to send those in there so that we can keep those separated throughout our program. And if you navigate to the handout slide, you'll see there are some resources that have been made available for you, so feel free to grab those at your own leisure. So today's topic is digital business observability, analyzing IT and business data together. I'm joined by Thomas Hazel, founder, CTO, and Chief Science Officer at Chaos Search, and Kevin Petrie, Vice President of Research at Eckerson Group. So Kevin and Thomas, thank you both so much for joining me today. Kevin, do you want to get this conversation kicked off?
Sure. Thanks for having me. Great to see all the participants. I see the first one is a Kevin from Golden, Colorado. Fantastic. I grew up in Littleton, Colorado. Very pleased to have the opportunity to speak with Thomas, who I've worked with a fair amount over the last couple of years, as well as the Chaos Search community and the Techstrong community. This particular topic is really interesting to me, and it's been a real passion in terms of putting together the accompanying report. I think there's a compelling opportunity for what we're calling digital business opportunity, analyzing business and IT data together. So let's dig in. So we can go to the next slide here. Okay. There's a divide, and I don't think this will surprise anyone. I assume heads are nodding all over, which is there's a divide between business and IT, and that's becoming more and more of a problem because enterprises, to succeed, are engaging customers and running an increasing portion of their business on digital platforms. That accelerated during COVID. It continues apace, and more enterprises to succeed needed to manage those digital engagements, those digital operations very quickly. The challenge is that many enterprises are failing to capture business insights from IT systems and siloed tools, siloed teams, siloed processes, and even a cultural mindset habit is creating this divide. It's preventing teams from acting in a more cross-functional way, preventing them from analyzing IT data. We'll talk more about what that means, and business data together. This divide can drive up cost and complexity. It can delay insights. And increasingly, in our digitized world, it can prevent enterprises from competing effectively because the other guy is going to be that much more effective at handling the digital aspect of business. So to compete, enterprises really need to analyze their digital customer engagements and their operations. And we're going to talk a lot about that. We're going to talk about operations in particular, because there's a gold mine within data that has been long neglected, log data in particular. So we'll talk about what we mean by that. We can go to the next slide here.
I'll just
Please,
jump in.
yeah.
I love this topic. We're seeing it too. Is that operations drive and underpin business intelligence, and we're seeing it converge, and we're seeing opportunity in that convergence. So perfect topic. Love to dive in with you, Kevin. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you, Thomas. So fantastic. So I think that the time has come for these analytical domains to come together. And we really see three traditional disciplines or distinct disciplines that are coming together. The first is what we call at Eckerson Group, operations observability. And this is, in a sense, the new generation of APM. It's helping optimize applications and IT systems. as organizations move to the cloud, they discover that complexity hasn't really gone away. You got new forms of complexity. And so there's a rising imperative to analyze logs, metrics, traces to figure out what's happening within these cloud first, often distributed environments, hybrid or multi-cloud, and figure out how to observe, monitor, optimize those digital operations. The next discipline here is business intelligence. As we know, for a long time, business intelligence has been used by enterprises large and small to measure and forecast business trends, business performance, events through dashboards, through regular reports, and other types of deliverables that analyze typically tabular database records. The third discipline, getting a lot of steam, is data science. And so more and more organizations are getting a little more mature about the way in which they're classifying, predicting, and recommending outcomes. There's a vast set of algorithms and models that are available through public libraries that can really give enterprises a good starting point to get more proactive in terms of the way they identify and train models to identify patterns, breaks in patterns, and from that start to look ahead about what the next business opportunity. And data science applies to multi-structured data. Excuse me. So my belief is that these three disciplines are blending, and that the ability of enterprises to blend those disciplines is going to dictate their competitive performance over the next several years. If you can analyze all types of multi-structured data coming from traditional business records, coming from IT systems, you can start to get a much more comprehensive view of customers, of operations, of cloud infrastructure, and so forth. So this digital business opportunity program, this digital business observability program has the opportunity to close that business IT gap and create insights that foster innovation. And a lot of customers are starting to do this.
Yeah,
so please.
I love it. And, originally there are different sources, right? You have your operational logs for your business or product or your web service, and then you have your business data. But now there's a need to correlate, to bring these two things together. Maybe a customer didn't click on this because of performance issues, or, maybe this user is doing X versus Y, and that underlying operational with the intelligence, then the data science around it, really just needs to bring these data sources together. And traditionally, as you were indicating, Kevin, they were siloed, and that required data movement and data processing.
So couldn't agree more. There's a lot of opportunity here. And as always happens in IT or technology and life, it's easier said than done. So we can kind of roll up our sleeves here and look at the challenges. The challenges really boil down to, when we talk about silos, we're talking about different systems, different tools, and different skills. And so I'll tackle these one at a time. Different systems simply means that in a lot of cases, organizations have an IT organization that is using IT tools in order to understand how well servers are running on premise, how well cloud compute clusters are running, how well their network systems are doing load balancing in a cloud environment. And so that's one set of systems that various ITOps engineers, CloudOps engineers are using dedicated tools to understand and make sense of. On the other side, you've got a different set of systems, tools, and skills, which is you've got business intelligence teams that are looking more at traditional tabular records coming out of relational databases. Now they have their set of skills to run queries, to visualize the outputs of data. And in a traditional world, the trajectory has been for those two organizations, those two sets of systems, tools, and teams with distinct skills to operate maybe alongside each other. More likely, they're going to be apart, and they're going to be pointed in somewhat different directions. So if you can break that mold and start to have them collaborate, there's a big opportunity. The requirements to make that happen are really fivefold. And The first one is multimodal analytics, the ability to query and search and apply machine learning models to multi-structured data, ideally within a single platform, really starts to break down the silos. So that's the first requirement, multimodal analytics. Second one is bring all this data together in a common platform, ideally a cloud native object store, because then you can start to have tagged objects, you could have tables, you can have various types of multi-structured data that are coming together. Scalability is not trivial, and Thomas will talk about Chaos Search's approach here, but you really can't underestimate how much space and processing power IT log files can consume. And so scalability becomes very important, as does processing efficiency, looking at things like the ability to index those logs, transform them, and then support search workloads. So that's some of the requirements. Another key one is obviously team collaboration. It's one of those evergreen statements that bears repeating here, because you've got different folks with different training, different reporting structures that really do need to start to figure out how to work together. Looking in particular, ITOps engineers, CloudOps engineers, and then data analysts within business intelligence teams, as well as data scientists. So to succeed, digital business observability needs to break those silos and foster collaborative multimodal analytics on a platform that is shared, that can scale and operate efficiently.
I love it. And as we indicated, it's not just different sources of data, but it's different capabilities. You can put one source with the wrong capability and it's not going to work, if you will. Full text search, alerting, relational, SQL, complexity, machine learning, analysis. It's not just the different sources, it's the different capabilities. And that's why we have all these siloed solutions.
So good. So let's talk more about how you bring these pieces together. Multimodal analytics, as I said, is really about three distinct disciplines or functions. The first is text search, search capabilities, and so Elasticsearch is an example of an open source software that's been applied to a lot of that log data that we talked about. The next aspect of multimodal analytics is looking at querying capabilities, most often using SQL, in order to specifically look at tabular data to support business intelligence teams, data analysts within those teams that are trying to generate reports, populate dashboards, and visualize data. The next one in terms of multimodal analytics is now starting to look at machine learning models and apply that to data so that they can study the features within data and start to derive insights based on patterns and breaks in patterns. So if you can bring those three functions together, search capabilities, query, and modeling, then you start to get some comprehensive capabilities to look at two different fundamental domains. The first one is IT domains. And when we say domain, we're saying, what are the things that we're trying to analyze? IT domains, the things are service delivery. How are your applications doing in terms of delivering services to users, to devices? And the infrastructure that resides on includes storage, compute, network connectivity, containers. These are the aspects of infrastructure that are increasingly cloud-based. And cloud, despite the hoopla, has a lot of benefits, but simplicity is not one of them when it comes to optimizing performance. On the right side of the ledger here, we've got business domains. So the things that from a business perspective you want to analyze are, how are functions doing within the enterprise? A finance team, how's the finance function? How are sales going? How is the marketing doing in terms of lead generation and so forth? And then product teams, what can product teams be doing? How well is a product performing in the market? And what was the product development process? The final aspect of business domains. Go ahead, Thomas. Yeah.
No, go, please.
Okay. So with external markets, it's critical for organizations to look outside and say, how are the customers doing, prospects, what are the opportunities with suppliers, trends with partners, what are the technological trends? And so having that internal and external view of the business and starting to enrich that with view of IT domains can be pretty powerful.
These, if you will, silo capabilities, this multimodal capability, not only does it require data movement and transformation and pipelines and schema, but it's duplicating the data, right? If you're doing 3 solutions to this, it's by 3. Now we're doing terabytes, particularly petabytes, it becomes really cost inefficient. And so, this is what we want, but sometimes you only can store it for a week's worth of data because you're going to break the bank by doing anything longer.
Yeah, you want you can get a vast haystack with a lot of needles, but you got to figure out how to handle that scale. Okay, I could spend an hour on this slide, and I'll try not to. The use cases abound here. So if you look from a marketing perspective, if marketing managers can get a better sense of the activities of their customers in terms of what they're doing on your website, what was their click stream, which digital ads did they respond to, were there aborted pages that didn't work for them, did they abandon a shopping cart, then you can start to really enrich the actual purchase history that's encapsulated in the database records. That's one example. Another is those types of insights could obviously feed customer service teams, because they can understand what the digital activities of their customers has been, and they can start to use that to calibrate their interactions with these customers. CloudOps and SecOps are 2 critical pieces that are getting a lot of attention, rightfully so, because here you need to figure out how to optimize your business operations, which are taking electronic form. There are a lot of cloud-first organizations. There are a lot of cloud-native organizations now that are doing incredible things and growing gangbusters, but they need to figure out how to optimize their performance and maintain a high level of reliability, especially as they go across clouds. SecOps is critical because the threat environment continues to morph and get more and more challenging. To stay ahead of the bad guys, you need to be able to do threat hunting, among other things, in terms of identifying threats within vast treasures of log files. The final thing I'll point out here is financial operations. FinOps is getting a lot of attention because that's really helping organizations take a hard look at the investment they're making in cloud. Cloud is expensive. Cloud service providers charge a lot for compute, and those runaway workloads can be a real challenge. So the more you can implement cloud cost controls and govern your cost as it relates to cloud by studying logs, metrics, traces, mapping that back to budgets and business records, the more you can really optimize what you're doing. So it's all about analyzing operations and business systems.
Yeah, could not agree more. We're seeing this is maybe the operation is the tail that wags the business, right? Is that to deliver all these business corporate initiatives, you need security, you need performance, you need high availability of those business services. And so for every business service you deploy, you need ops to monitor, to secure it, and particularly in the cloud and the sprawl. It all makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So that and many other use cases that we could talk about. The benefits here, I think, are probably self-evident at this point, which is you're improving the productivity of your teams. You're helping business owners make smarter decisions that have been delivered to them by BI teams or by ITOps teams or CloudOps teams. They're generating insights. They're taking smarter action. Operational efficiency can increase, especially if you look at things like FinOps or CloudOps. And organizations can be more flexible and agile in terms of pouncing on business opportunities that arise. This has both top line and bottom line benefits that assist profitability. So implemented well, a digital business observability program can help understand and optimize your outbound initiatives and your internal operations.
This is the dream. I couldn't agree more.
It is. So, okay, how do you get started here? How do you actually make this stuff work? Eckerson Group has 2 sides. I run the research group. We also have consulting. On the consulting side, we find a few consistent themes that apply to various types of initiatives, not just digital business observability. But I would say that it's critical to assemble a team that includes an executive sponsor, that includes ITOps or CloudOps engineers, that includes folks on the business intelligence side, and also data engineers. So those are some of the key members of this team that you really want to start to tackle your use cases. In terms of defining use cases, it really is important to go to business owners to start and executives and understand what are the precise measurable things I want to achieve here? What sort of use cases would support that? So it might be you say, I want to support a 20% increase in cloud traffic that's expected for the next year without increasing my cloud-related costs. That's a very tangible, maybe an aggressive goal, but that's something you want to do. And you can start to say, okay, the use case to support that is to start to forecast what your cloud compute requirements are going to be, or start to understand how you could reduce variability in terms of consumption of compute or storage resources. You also want to look at considering new architectural approaches. This is a segue for Thomas to talk about Chaos Search's approach. I think what I'll say here is that when you're looking at combining log data and metrics and traces and understanding that alongside the traditional business data within relational databases or even NoSQL databases, those volumes go up quickly. And so you want to think about creatively about how your data team can architect something that's a little more scalable, a little more flexible.
I love it. And like I was saying, maybe go on mute. I get a little feedback there, Kevin.
Okay, I'll go on mute here. So apologize for that.
No worries. So love this topic. This is really the mission behind Chaos Search, to address this problem, this convergence of both operational and data analytics. And at Chaos Search, we like to say we're the lighthouse in that sea of data, but reduce the time, cost, and complexity commonly associated with trying to bring these two worlds together. So we've been talking about this gap between operational, whether it's performance, monitoring, security, to those business insights. We like to say we're building out a observability data lake to bring these two worlds together. And how we've done that is we transform customers' data lakes, their cloud storage, if you will, into a live analytical database that supports search and SQL and ML on one solution, one platform, going after those observability type capabilities and use cases, the security, which is always so important, with that application insights. And we have a variety of customers that are seeing that problem of operation with business and have been adopting our platform to address it. But like anything, how does it work? Well, the idea is that simply stream your data to cloud storage like Amazon S3 or GCS, etc. Majority of companies are already doing that because they're worried that their backend solution can't keep up or may go down. But from there, you connect our SaaS solution to your cloud storage, where again, you own all the data, and we automatically index the data that's streaming in, discover the schema, understand the complexity. You don't have to worry about defining schema, and we write a representation back into your account. From there, you, the user, DevOps or the DBA, publish views, index patterns for, say, search, like Elasticsearch, or relational tables in SQL, to use the same tooling that you know and love: Grafana, Kibana, Tableau, Looker, Superset, all in one platform, to bridge that gap without having to do data movement and all the complexity of data pipelining. So we do bridge that gap, that ops with biz dev analysis. The idea that day one, you can get terabyte scale and up within hours. You don't have to worry about weeks and months. And this is some of the reasons why people really struggle to deploy a new business opportunity, a new product, a new service, because it can take weeks, if not months. But we do save massive amount of dollars day one, 50 to 80%. When you're dealing with large scale logs, for instance, you're talking of terabytes to petabyte type scale over weeks, ideally months and years. And so with our solution, it's about simplicity, automation, access, but cost effective. I know this is maybe new to some folks, but we're seeing this convergence. I mean, Kevin, you did this white paper. We could not agree more.
Great stuff. great opportunity, and it's really critical to do it well. I do like the creative thinking in terms of scalability and processing efficiency that you're looking at here.
And again, cloud storage, most secure, reliable, cost effective. We just had to crack some codes on how to make it efficient and intelligent. But don't take my word for it. Jeff Kinzer at Equifax is one of our customers, Senior VP of Engineering Services and SRE. What they needed, what they wanted was this idea to just stream their data for every use case the business units needed. And they didn't have to worry about setting something up. They just streamed it in and they had access via search capabilities for monitoring, for observability, for performance, but as well as SQL access for their customer success, for the marketing, to analyze how each business unit was doing, all in one service. And if you come to our website, we have a case study on this and how Equifax saved up to 98% or 90% of their IT spend. And you can imagine a company of that size spends a lot of dollars. So I was kind of hinting to this. Operations is the tail that wags business. It really, really is. And we're finding that all these solutions want to be more than what they are, but the technology, the architecture really is unable to. And so, you have the CEO saying we need new opportunity, new decisions, new insights, but the CTO, the architect saying, well, for every solution we have to deploy, we have to set up performance monitoring, as Kevin indicated, containers and security, and particularly in the cloud. From there, the data pipelines, the DBA is saying, okay, what do I have to do? How do I going to do it? Every time we need to build out a new product. And then from there, the DevOps, SecOps people are trying to manage it and support it. And that can be weeks, months, and then QA it. And the CXO says, why is this taking so long? Because the state of the art, it's required. There is no solution, unified solution. You have siloed implementations and a lot of data pipelining. So the perfect analysis or answer to it is have a biz dev SecOps platform that has a holistic approach to these workloads. And the idea that you can rapidly deploy these services that already are monitoring the performance and security of those ingestion of opportunities. Maybe you're monitoring CloudTrail or some other service that you don't have to implement some new security model for that new business opportunity, and do it in a what we call observability data lake perspective. This happens every day in organizations. We see it time and time again. I know that's why, what you wrote up, love to hear what you heard from your conversation with customers and the toil that is required to build out these platforms.
Yeah, on the consulting side, I think that we hear architects, data engineers, and DBA, those comments in particular, come up time and again. And so a big part of the strategic initiative or strategic advisory services that we provide to enterprises is about trying to eliminate silos. It's sort of an interesting irony of all this is that the cloud can help stitch things together to try to reduce the complexity. The price tag is that then you can have costs that go through the roof. The monthly bill can create a lot of sticker shock. So organizations need to maintain a much higher level of vigilance than they ever would have expected when they use automated, somewhat opaque cloud processes. So striking that balance between real visibility into what's happening and a set it and forget it mentality and doing something that doesn't break the bank is hard. And that's where digital business observability can help.
Absolutely. And so, this gap, this silo capabilities is what I want to outline here. So you'll have technologies like Elasticsearch, New Relic, Datadog, Grafana to do that side of the fence. And then typically you have security solutions, your Splunks, your McAfee's, Sumer Logic. And then when you realize you need to marriage these data streams together, you'll set up a pipeline because these solutions can support complex analytical analysis. They're designed for messy data, searching, monitoring, alerting. And so you have the back end, whether it's Snowflake or Google or Redshift. You would love to have one platform, but these systems can't handle that messy real-time data. They don't focus on security or alerting. So you have this, if you will, gap. as you were indicating, the time to converge these two silos together, whether it's the pipeline, the semantic layer, the transformation, as I always say, the time, cost, complexity. And so this is where chaos search comes in, is bringing these two worlds together without having to, stand up all these solutions. And so you can think of us as a lighthouse within this ocean of data where we can be a complete replacement. So if you're running the elk stack or OpenSearch or Sumo Logic, log, trace, we are 100% replacement. And at scale, we're a very cost-effective replacement where typically our customers are dealing with terabytes of data and up per day and need long retention. Or maybe it's a better together where you love Datadog or you are using Grafana or New Relic in a certain way, is maybe shrink their retention because they can get very expensive at scale to maybe 3 days. We see this a lot where they put, say, a Datadog in front of us, and then the long tail is with Chaos Search, providing all those insights, those analysis that is missing. Then, or maybe integrate with your data mesh. Maybe you're going all in on that viewpoint. We integrate with that. But again, this unlimited retention is so crucial because that analysis, that historic analysis, think if you have a security issue where you didn't look at it initially, you lose the data, you may need to do forensics to figure out what happened. And it could happen 2 weeks, a month ago. Or you're looking for some type of business analysis where weeks, months, years are useful. But here's the thing. The reason why you can't do these two things together is they don't support powerful search, alerting capability, real-time capability, as well as SQL relational complex analysis. And so with Chaos Search, you can do a complete replacement or integrate with your favorite tools and systems. This is kind of an eye chart, but we are the answer to simplicity and scale, because what we want to do is don't change what you're doing, just change how you're doing it. Yeah, Kevin, you have this is a lot of information coming at you.
Yes. I think I love the notion that you can start to combine a lot of things. You can reduce the need to make hard choices, because we have seen a lot of organizations that start to say, okay, how do I throttle the logs coming in? Where do I cut off the retention? 3 months, 6 months? How do I filter the logs coming in and set the right alert so that I'm only finding things that really matter? So they're doing all these workarounds to figure out how to avoid handling the full set of logs that are coming in. And so if you can put those trade-offs aside and figure out how to really retain everything and then extract the needles from the haystack, it's a fresh approach. And it's, I think, an approach a lot of folks that are dealing with traditional limitations of Elasticsearch and the elk stack will be open to.
Yeah, I mean, we get involved when your Splunk bill's too high or your Elasticsearch is too high. But at the same time, we are also seeing that, hey, listen, I want SQL access. If I use Athena for that many queries, I'm going to break the bank. And so the idea that you can have the search monitoring as well as the full support of relational capability in one platform, because if you have to set up a pipeline, if it takes weeks, it's going to cost a lot of dollars, you choose not to do it. And that's why we're seeing this convergence that is needed. And we feel at Chaos Search, we're answering the call. And, Blackboard, if folks don't know that service, it's an online educational service. And during the pandemic, when everyone was going from in classroom to online, they had a service, actually a free service that was being adopted by millions of users, and they couldn't afford it. They couldn't scale it. So they reached out to us and they said, hey, could you be our answer? And we solved 98% of their operation burden and dramatically reduced their costs. And what they do is not only do they monitor this service, but they need insights on how the students are doing and bring that log analysis, monitoring, security aspect to the business side, to the product team, bringing these two worlds together on one platform. And we've sent them tons of dollars where, again, the service was free, but automate the entire process. And they can focus on what they really need to focus on is education and helping students, particularly during the pandemic. and check it out. We have these use cases on our website, whether it's Equifax or Blackboard. Love to talk to anyone on the webinar today and set you up with a free trial and off to the races. So Cody, is there any questions, anything that the audience here is asking about?
So I'm seeing one question so far. So everyone with us, go ahead, send in any questions you might have, and we've got plenty of time to address them. So Thomas and Kevin, what is the best use case example where IT and the BI teams must cooperate?
Kevin, you can answer that, and I'll add.
Great question. So I think that. Okay, thanks, Thomas. So I think that customers, that's the one word answer. If you figure out what your customers are doing in the digital sphere, you can make so much more smart decisions about how to engage them. And so BI teams can help you understand market opportunities. They can help assess sales trends. They can look at customer specific purchase trends. But unless you're getting a rich 360-degree view that is coming from the IT side of the house, the clickstream data, the views of which digital ads they're responding to, the views of which shopping cart pages aborted for them, you're not getting a sufficiently rich view of how you're engaging customers, because so many customers across industries are engaging their vendors almost exclusively online, depending on the industry, or more and more online. So you've got to get that digital view, and that's where the IT teams can help BI teams.
I mean, I see it, where a lot of digital native companies have a service in the cloud generating a lot of service logs that they need to monitor for performance or, any type of, fault tolerance aspects, but then want to analyze that data in a more business analysis way. And so these logs, sometimes very big logs, they want to correlate or figure out what the customer is doing with respect to some other data source within the organization. So a lot of application type logs that are driving their business need to be both analyzed, marketing, customer success, as well as monitoring for the health of the service. And today, sent to 2 different locations. And you can imagine we have customers that do terabytes, billions and trillions of events. That can come really cost prohibitive when you're putting into 2 different systems.
So we have a question on how the trial offer works. Do you actually load your platform into my data set?
Really good question. Building data services for a long time, I decided I'd never want to own the customer's data ever again. So it's your cloud service like S3. We find that so many people are leveraging S3 to either back up or archive their system. What you do is you send it to your S3, you connect our service to your environment through a standard roll-on policy, and we automatically index the data. And once we index it, we create a representation back into your account. So you own this new representation that allows us to provide you that search, monitoring, alerting capability, as well as that relational analytical capability. And again, you own everything. It's just a roll-on access to our service. And again, you own everything. It's in your cloud storage.
So does Chaos Search need access to our EC2 to deploy the Chaos Search platform? It sounds like that's similar to what you just answered.
Sounds a similar question. I mean, so the answer is we do have 2 modes. We have a SaaS offering that we manage compute for you. So it acts like a SaaS. But if for some organizations like actually Equifax, where they want to not only own the storage, the object storage, but they actually run the service themselves. And for certain size opportunities, will allow the customer to deploy the entire service within the organization.
So to deploy Chaos Search, can any AWS region be selected for Amazon S3 storage?
Now, as long as I know all the regions that they've come out with, we do support it across the globe. I think actually Blackboard has like 7 or 8 regions that we're in with them. So the answer is yes. And as they add more, we'll continue to support more, and we're in Google, etc.
Is Chaos Search multi-tenant?
We are multi-tenant. So I'll say it this way. So we allow the customer to isolate within their own private VPC. But if you do a free trial, we might multi-tenant that. But you have an option of multi-tenanting within your own VPC organization, or we can silo in its own VPC. So it's really how you want to configure the service, and we're flexible across any configuration.
And can you speak to the security of Chaos Search?
Well, so the good news is actually we just published on LinkedIn our SOC 2, our 4th year in running, SOC 2 Type 2. If anyone's ever gone through it, it's serious. It's painful, but we're wonderfully secure, and you own all the data. So you have all the rights, and we actually use our service to monitor our service. So we're fully compliant with all the standard security methodology. And again, you own the data. We don't own your data. So you're as secure as your controls are, but hopefully your controls are pretty good.
Awesome. So are there use cases for sales or product teams to be using Chaos Search?
There is. I mean, so as mentioned, we do go after both operational and business analysis. So, if you're dealing with streaming of large amount of data, let's say, Athena use case, Athena is pretty popular, or any data lake product that you're using, we're a great opportunity. But as I mentioned, these two worlds are coming together. So you may want to correlate, join across some log data with this business data. And so as Kevin was indicating, this hybrid of insights, you can do Athena replacement, Elk replacement, or bring those two worlds together and do a product analysis of your app service in the cloud.
So is digital business observability really possible in hybrid or multi-cloud environments?
That's a good question. So we're purely in the cloud. I'm not saying that cloud is everything. I know there's a large percentage of workload. For the right opportunity, maybe we'll talk about the integration of the two. I mean, architecturally, from a product perspective, we could do both, but I'll let Kevin answer that question.
Kevin?
So I think that the reality is most organizations. Yeah, could folks hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, I see heads nodding. Fantastic. I think the reality is many organizations are doing more and more and are cloud first. So they're doing a lot of their new initiatives on the cloud. And so if they have a new product, an insurance company, a commercial bank, all kinds of things, they're going to do that primarily on the cloud. But it might well straddle two clouds. And it might well have a long tail of traditional data that they need to integrate with on premises. So I think that you could focus on the cloud, definitely, for your digital business observability program. The more you can straddle clouds or even reach back on-prem, the better in terms of data points.
And we have customers that are in both, say, Google and Amazon, and these worlds do have some synergy. But for right now, we are pure cloud, not on-prem.
The right place to start.
So is VPC connection available in the North America's AWS service only?
So we do support VPC in say Google or Amazon or different regions. So our architecture allows you to go all the regions within Amazon as a VPC. We have different configurations. It could be multi-select. It can synchronize across regions. We have HA from a zone, a region perspective. I hope that answers the question. So a VPC only non-SaaS implementation is supported across all the regions, and how one configures it. We have solution architects that work with the customer and how to provision those solutions to best meet their cost and performance needs.
Is there any telecom use case for Chaos Search?
Well, now you're talking. I actually came out of telecom. I spent the last 15 plus years doing database and distributed systems, but I cut my teeth back in telecom building God boxes. So any type of IoT or streaming, we are that. To me, a log is a stream of information. So if you're thinking of streaming type information, yes, because as you can imagine, telecom data gets big. and it can get very expensive. So reach out. We do support that type of capability, that type of scale, but love to hear more to make sure it's a 1 + 1 = 3.
And so it looks like we are down to our final question. So if you have any more questions, please do send them in. It's about Parquet. Does Chaos Search support Parquet?
We do. We're actually in the beta, officially coming out this quarter with Parquet support. As you can imagine, Parquet is great for SQL, not great for search. And so we're integrating that into our platform. And we'll continue to support multiple data sources for our service to provide access and scale over the coming quarters.
All right, so that does conclude the questions for now. So I'm going to stall for a moment and allow anyone to send in any final questions they might have. And in doing so, our 4 winners of our $25 Amazon gift card drawing are Shirley L, Juan S, Abel K, and Augustine C. So to our 4 winners, keep an eye on your inbox to claim that gift card. But if you don't happen to see it, do check your spam folder. I'll also remind everyone that this session was recorded. So should you want to rewatch or perhaps share with a friend, the on-demand recording will be made available shortly after this. You should be receiving it via email.
Great.
All right, Thomas and Kevin, yes, a recording of this session is available. It will be sent to you momentarily. Thomas and Kevin, I do want to give each of you the floor in case there's anything that you'd like to leave our audience with before we close out. Thomas, you want to get that kicked off?
Sure. Yeah, Kevin, always enjoy your insights of where the market's going, the needs, and it's always a good time and fun. Well, I'll say, and Cody, thank you for hosting the Techstrong environment. It was a lot of fun to work with your team.
Of course. Very happy to have you guys with us. Hey, Kevin, we can hear you. We could hear you.
Okay, great. Thomas, likewise, always a pleasure. And Cody, thank you very much. Great to see the questions coming in and some of the comments here. As I said, I love this topic, so we'd look forward to any future engagement from the community on it. Hear about use cases we haven't considered, because there's a lot out there. Both, this is great.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Thank you both.
Cheers.
So to everyone who's joined us, you will be seeing a survey pop up on your screen as soon as we close out. So I'd really, really appreciate you filling that out for us by letting us know what you liked or what maybe you'd like to see on an upcoming program. I'd like to thank Chaos Search for sponsoring our program today. And to everyone who's been here, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time, and we really hope to see everyone at a future Techstrong learning experience. Have a great rest of your day, and you may now disconnect.